Welcome to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020. I'm here from Atlanta, Georgia. Paul is in Brentwood, Tennessee, sporting his and my least favorite T-shirt, Belmont Bruins T-shirt there.
Adam, I call this the $40,000 T-shirt. This is what Belmont gave me when my son went to school.
Oh,
it's a parent's thing.
So it's a gift.
Sure, whatever you want to call it.
Wow, a gift in lieu of your $40,000 a year donation to Belmont University over there off of Belmont Boulevard. A lot to talk about tonight. Last night was the second installment, back-to-back episodes 3 and 4 of The Last Dance, and we want to get a recap and just kind of give you our thoughts on last night's episodes. I was really looking forward to them because I knew that episode 3 was going to focus a lot on Dennis Rodman, and then moving into the rivalry and hatred, if you will, between the Bulls and Pistons of the late 80s. And what was your take on the whole Rodman situation? I mean, having lived through it, and then to go back and see some of that footage and the commentary and interviews.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Chuck Daly, the coach of the Pistons at the time, had such a controlling influence over Rodman. And then when he got let go, that's when Rodman kind of went off the rails.
Yeah, he kind of spiraled, and they kind of painted Chuck Daly as kind of this father figure to Rodman that was able to, when he was brought into the league, he was this innocent kid, acting like at the maturity level of a 12-year-old, but just was very humble and, workmanlike and much like a kid, and Daly, I think, had a grasp on that and was able to basically get the most out of him. And then, like you said, he gets let go, and all of a sudden, Rodman goes crazy, meets Madonna, starts dating Madonna, and I don't remember what a circus that was. And just him sort of coming into his own and doing whatever it was Dennis Rodman wanted to do. And I thought it was also interesting how the Bulls GM, Krause, he really was the catalyst behind getting him to Chicago, and the fact that he realized that, hey, this guy's a complete wild card, but I've got Jordan, I've got Pippen, I think they can handle him, and I got Phil. And Phil seemed to be, when he got to Chicago, seemed to be the key, and just sort of, again, took him under his wing and understood him to the point where he understood that he needed some freedom off the court, and also understood that he would get what he needed from him on the court, and was always giving 100%, between the lines. And I don't think Phil Jackson cared about the other stuff. He wanted to make sure that Dennis was focused. And if he the best part of the whole thing was the whole vacation. I need a vacation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think Michael Jordan was painted as the person that was kind of the middleman between Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman, and as he was the spokesperson of the whole thing when it comes to dealing with Rodman and his antics.
Yeah, and it's so funny. He mentioned how one game Rodman got kicked out, and basically, he got kicked out, and Scotty wasn't back yet, and it was all on Michael. And he said Dennis never really apologized to him, but he came to his room that night and asked him for a cigar, and that was Dennis's way of admitting, hey, my fault, my bad. I realized I messed up. And it was just funny that the normal person would just come up with, hey, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have got kicked out, whatever. But Rodman, makes an appearance, and Jordan just in the great leader that he was, understood that was Dennis's way of saying, mea culpa, my fault, I'm on board. I'll do whatever you need me to do at that point. And his whole thing was like Phil, we're not getting this guy back in 48 hours. We let him go to Vegas. He's not coming back.
He's not coming back. That's right.
And the fact that Jordan had to go to get him and drag him to practice, that was just see, that's stuff that you know that happened behind the scenes that nobody really knew about. You know, we all knew he overstayed his little midseason vacation, but again, another thing that that's something that only Dennis Rodman could get away with. I mean, imagine somebody doing that today in today's game.
No, and the NBA as a whole is so much different. I mean, I'm sitting there with my son, and you're watching, the Bulls, Pistons, and and the referees are just stepping in, just pushing people away. There's really nothing is really done about it. It's just kind of a whatever.
It's like the bell has rung. Let's go to our separate corners. No technicals.
Yeah, no
ejections.
Well, they're very slow to call the T's and the flagrants back in the day.
Oh, yeah, very slow. Yeah, unless it's just absolute murder or just outright assault, what they call. Yeah. I mean, you saw punches like getting closed fist punches getting landed. I mean, Brad Daugherty got pounded right in the face, man, and play on. It's one of those deals.
Let me ask you a couple things. One, Rodman, after Daly leaves, Rodman gets traded to the Spurs.
Right.
Okay. Then that's when Krause got what I would call the steal of the century when he goes and trades for Rodman.
Yeah.
Who did he have to give up? I have the answer.
Okay. He gave up two guys.
Did he?
It was two guys. It was
well, I know the answer. I think it's only one guy.
Okay, if it was one guy. Oh, Sean Elliott was one. Am I wrong?
Wrong. Here's the deal. The Spurs wanted no more part of Dennis Rodman, that they traded him for Will Perdue. Straight up. No cash, no draft picks. You know what? You can have him. He's all yours. And we'll take Will Perdue. Now, Will Perdue, right? He's got 4 rings himself.
4 rings, yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
As the backup center.
Unbelievable.
Former Vanderbilt great. Anchor down.
Will Perdunk.
Will Perdunk. Hey. And hopefully there'll be, he made an appearance or two last night as well.
He did.
It's good to see him. And then
to see B.J. Armstrong too was on there too.
Yeah, and the second thing that was interesting, the handshake, the no handshake by the Pistons.
We got to talk about that. Oh yeah.
And how Isaiah's backtracking, and obviously Lambert's like I didn't like those guys.
Nothing less from Lambert.
Yeah. But the point being is this: that happened in '91. '92 comes the Olympics. And you know whose name was not mentioned? Isaiah Thomas.
And here's the thing, too. His own coach was the coach of the Dream Team.
Absolutely.
And he didn't even want him on there. That speaks volumes.
Big time.
He has been getting roasted on all the sports shows. And as likely as he should. And Jordan said it best. He goes, I don't care what he says now. You can't convince me he's not a blank, I mean, he and to me, Isaiah Thomas, that's, he made the 80 Olympic team, which got boycotted. He wins the national title in 81 with Indiana, and he's won 2 NBA titles. But that moment, that action in Game 7 of the 91 Eastern Conference Finals, that's what gets remembered. Like, you interview him, like I saw him interview, and I didn't even think about him. I'm looking at a guy that's won 2 NBA titles and is a multiple All-Star. I think about how unsportsmanlike that was, and how just common that was, that they just walked off the field, off the court without. And you saw him. I mean, he's high. He's going off the court like this with his head down. Trying to pretend, trying to make himself smaller so nobody sees him. But Isaiah Thomas is a punk. I never liked him. Of course, I'm a Kentucky fan, so he's Indiana, so I didn't like him anyway. But he's a punk. And trying to backtrack now, 30 years later, sorry, man, I'm not buying it. Don't try and give me this. So that's just how it was. Well, y'all beat the Bulls the last 2 years, and they shook your hand. I mean, that comes down. That's a personal decision that he made, and I'm glad it cost him the '92 Dream Team.
Yeah, yeah. And
He deserved to be on that.
Speaking of Isaiah, I mean, do you remember the 2 NBA franchises he was the head coach for?
Yeah. I know the Knicks was one, and was the Pacers the other one?
That's right. Succeeded Larry Bird.
Okay, yeah.
And when then all that came crumbling down, he became a college coach.
Someplace in New York, right?
Florida International.
International. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's funny that we're talking about Jordan, because this guy right here hated Jordan. Bo Mitchell hated Michael Jordan. He was kind of like me. He was a big Magic Johnson guy, and I love Magic Johnson. But last night's episode, when they won that show, the episode 4, when it shows them winning their first title, that was the end. That was the end of the Lakers dynasty. I remember, watching that series, going, "Gosh, they're not going to win a game." It's like, and I think they lost like 4-1 or something like that. But man, I mean, just you could see the changing of the guard coming there. But yeah, Bo was so upset that they lost that series, because he just did not like Michael Jordan at all. And I will always remember that. But I mean, he is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. And last night's 2 episodes between Isaiah Thomas and the whole Rodman situation, and it was just so funny how they characterized. Michael's like, "Hey, when Scotty was gone, he was an angel." He said, "Scotty came back, says, I got to go, man."
Now you got to remember that, when Rodman played for the Pistons and they were going against the Bulls, Rodman gave Scottie Pippen a lot of extra juice and coming in the paint.
Oh, yeah.
He was very physical with Scotty.
Oh,
and I'm not sure. I think Rodman respects everybody, players of those caliber. But I'm sure that it took a while for them to mend the fences, possibly to work together.
Yeah, but I mean, once they did, man, they were just an absolute machine. I think in 96 they won 72 games, and I mean, it just started rolling once they got going. And I mean, that run, I don't in today's NBA of free agency and guys moving around and super teams and all this sort of stuff, I don't know that you see anything like that, where you had 5 championships in 6 years or something like that. And
let me tell you how important Dennis Rodman was. Moses Malone, and you remember Moses Malone?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Big time. What was Moses Malone famous for, right?
Going
shattering
straight.
the backboard, right?
I thought that was Daryl Dawkins.
Oh, you're right. Moses Malone played with Dr. J, right?
He did, and Dawkins.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Malone had 95 games where he had 20-plus rebounds. Okay?
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman had 159.
Wow.
Where he had 20-plus rebounds. Yeah.
Well, here's another thing, too, that I thought was interesting is Rodman had 7 games in one season where he had 20 or more rebounds and no points. Like, you talk about a guy who knows his role. I mean, he knew he was supposed to play defense and rebound the basketball, and he did it better than anybody. And another thing that I think may have gone unnoticed in last night's episode 3 was when they were interviewing Dennis Rodman. He was talking about how when he would go in the gym, he would get somebody to go in there with him and just shoot. He wouldn't shoot, but he would like memorize like the carom of the ball, the spin of the ball. If Michael's shooting from the left side, it's going to come off like this. If so-and-so's shooting, his ball doesn't rotate, blah, blah. So, I mean, the guy was a student of the game if there ever was one. And to see him be the character that he was, you would never think that. I mean, you would just think this guy's just a nut, freaky athletic, and just can get back. But he studied. I mean, and being a basketball coach, man, you got to love that. And I think a lot of it was, Phil Jackson, helped him quite a bit. And Phil Jackson, he was a character in his own right. From North Dakota, and playing for the Knicks. And actually, I didn't realize won 2 titles with the Knicks. But man, he was a different guy too. And I think they kind of meshed. They meshed really well together, and it all just came together. And that's why they were so successful. So, question I'll ask you: those Bulls, now they won it in '91, and that was, Rodman. They just beaten Rodman's Pistons. Do they win as many titles if they don't go get Rodman?
Probably not, because Cartwright was old. Horace Grant was kind of getting older. I mean, Luke Longley, remember, he was their center at that stage of the game.
Yeah.
The supporting cast was not as – you needed that one extra guy.
And honestly, I feel like you need that energy guy, because with Michael and Scotty, and then you had great role players, John Paxson, and later on BJ Armstrong, Steve Kerr.
Sure.
I mean, those guys, and I think Paxson had like 24 in the clinching game against Los Angeles.
Right.
Because everybody was collapsing on Michael, and he was just dishing it out, and Paxson was just hitting shots. And that's kind of what today's game is. I mean, it's penetrate and dish, and that's what everybody does. And
I will mention this, that the one thing that struck me, outside of the whole Rodman story and everything like that, was when they were focusing on the 92 Dream Team, and Chuck Daly, quote unquote, threw the scrimmage game against the college all-stars. And, the college all-stars, like Weber and Bobby Hurley and those guys, they scrimmage them.
Yeah.
And supposedly, Daly doesn't play MJ as enough, and they end up losing. And as it turns about, Krzyzewski says, yeah, we didn't realize it at the time, but, he kind of threw the game, and they went out the next night and played him again, because it was somewhere in some training facility or whatever, and they ended up beating him. As Jordan said, I think we beat him by 100, so just that part of the whole thing, just, and it was funny how they portrayed Christian Laettner when they scrimmaged each other. The Dream Team was scrimmaging each other.
Right.
That they were like, we don't want the college kid.
Yeah.
We don't want the college. And they just sat him on the side. And
he's sitting on the bench.
Yeah. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy, right?
It couldn't have happened to a better guy. Yesterday, I'm going to give a little shout out. Yesterday was Josh Jackson's 49th birthday. And he snapped me a picture and texted it to me of one of his birthday gifts. He got a blue T-shirt that says "Duke still stinks." So that's that was from probably one of his kids. One of his girls got him that. But gosh, I still can't watch that 30 for 30 on him. Yes, I still hate Christian Laettner.
Well, just know that at the time there was 11 other basketball players that weren't too keen on Christian Laettner at all.
Yeah, they saw right through him. They knew who he was. He was a fraud. But something else that I want to touch on tonight, and it's a lot of determining like how we move forward in sports, and are we going to move forward fans, this, that, and the other. Major League Baseball, we've talked about their thoughts and their thought process of, is it going to be an 80-game season, 100-game season? They're going to play them all in Arizona and Florida and mix it up and then have a regular 10-team playoff, or how are they going to do it? But there was something else that gets lost in this. And, with talking about minor league baseball is actually taking a hit here because there are 42 franchises that are going to get cut completely. So you're talking about 42 towns that are going to lose baseball for the summer and forever. And one of them is Chattanooga.
Yeah.
They're on the list. In fact, if all of this goes through, the Nashville Sounds will be the only baseball professionally being played in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee loses all of their affiliates.
So the Knoxville Smokies are
here. Yeah, there's basically Chattanooga Lookouts. The Jackson Generals are gone. In addition to those, you've got there's a couple other ones on here as well.
What about the Memphis
rookie
Redbirds?
Leagues and the rookie leagues? Bristol, the Bristol Pirates, gone. Atlanta loses the Danville Braves, and the Elizabethton Twins in Elizabethton, Tennessee, gone. Also, Kingsport Mets and the Johnson City Cardinals, also gone. So, there's Nashville's will be or would be the only baseball in Tennessee because it's AAA. Now, here's something else that's interesting. I don't know if you probably heard about this. Is the Major League Baseball is thinking about expansion. Do you know the two cities that they're thinking about?
Nashville
is one.
Las Vegas.
It's on the list, but they're saying that Mexico City is up there. And because of that, they have looked at a new form of like realignment in like the National League. So it would just be back to the old traditional two divisions if they do that. And the East would be the Braves, Reds, Marlins. The Nashville Stars is what they would be called. The New York Mets, Phillies, Pirates, Nationals. The West would have Arizona, Chicago, Colorado, Los Angeles, Milwaukee, St. Louis, San Diego, San Francisco. And then Mexico City would be in the AL West. The Mexico City Red Devils.
Oh.
So they would be in there with the Astros, A's, Mariners, Rangers. Then you'd have your traditional Eastern Division teams that we're used to. But that gives them the 32-team framework, just like the NFL, instead of 30 like they currently have. So, I think it'd be awesome. I know that what was the guy? Who was the owner of the Sounds back in the day that was trying? Larry Schmittou. Man, he wanted Major League Baseball in Nashville so bad. I don't even know if he's still around anymore. But I don't even know if he's still part of the ownership group or his family is up there in Nashville. But, it's like, that would be a great, they've got a great metropolitan area. I think there's over 2 million people in the metro Nashville area. And I think they would support a Major League Baseball franchise. They just got soccer, played like 2 games and had to shut it down.
Yeah. That was unfortunate.
And from what I understood, people were pretty excited about it up there. What do you think about those prospects of a AAA franchise coming Major League expansion in Nashville as the Nashville Stars, not the Sounds?
Don't like the name, but that's okay. We'll work with it. I do know that the MLS stadium that they were supposed to build for the Nashville football club. I don't even know if they even have a
Nashville FC, I think.
FC, yeah.
FC Nashville, yeah.
They approved it. It was supposed to be done by game 1. They've never broken ground.
Oh, wow.
So it's obviously they were going to play all their games at Nissan Stadium. they had been playing their quote unquote their AAA games, their last season, whatever they did,
right.
their matches at the
Dudley Field?
First Tennessee Park, which
Where's
was
that?
which is the
Sound
Nashville
Stadium.
Sounds baseball stadium.
Okay.
And so they obviously couldn't get that because the seasons were going to coexist.
Right.
So I would love to see it happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Somehow the taxpayers are probably not going to
I don't know if you can
go for
try to
it.
get you to see the logo there. It's just
it's
like it's a baseball
uh-huh.
with the laces and then the little round thing with the 3 stars from the flag.
I got you.
That's what it looks like.
I understand now.
Yeah.
So
but
I just don't think I don't think that they would vote for it. I don't think the people obviously don't want a tax raise or increase
to fund a stadium.
To fund the stadium, and that would be a problem. Could they build an addition to First Tennessee Park? I don't know how easy or hard that would be.
How many does it seat now?
15.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So
to at least double that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I do know this. This just came off Twitter. The Mexico City Red Devils just acquired Kenny Powers as their number 1 pick
in the expansion draft. Hey, and he's been on the DL, so he's got he doesn't have a lot of miles on him. It's probably
That's right.
A choice. I'd argue to say that Kenny Powers is in the prime of his career.
Yeah, I mean he's tired of living in Myrtle Beach. He's coming back. That's a great show. That's a great show.
I know that's one of your favorites because you mention it at least once every.
I mean, baseball, man. It just is. It's the only thing I seem to connect, unless you're talking about the, the '86 Mets or the '88 Mets or whatever. Those are the heydays for me when it comes.
Yeah,
to baseball.
those were some good teams for sure. Yeah, but
I mean, obviously, I would support any professional sports. It took us a little bit with hockey, but
it's huge.
The people have bought in
big time.
So I think the same would happen with baseball.
But you'd have to have a facility. You'd have to have a stadium.
That's right.
Well, I mean, they just renamed SunTrust. It's Truist Park now.
Oh my!
You'd have to have a scenario like that. And where is First Tennessee Park? Is it on the north side of town?
It's
like Fountain Square area.
Market, Farmers Market area.
Okay, so that's enough
around the state capitol area.
Okay, okay, like Charlotte Avenue, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay. All right, you'd have to have something like the Braves have here, with a Battery, with restaurants and theaters.
That's correct.
And all that stuff. Just have it all together. Hotels, and that was a really smart thing that they did when they decided to move the team, because I've lived in Atlanta since 1994, and when the games were played at Fulton County, because they were still at Fulton County, and at Turner Field, I think I went to 3 games, and I love baseball, but it just wasn't. I mean, it was just out of the way, and quite frankly, not exactly the safest place if you're parking and walking to the game. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. But now, with it where it is, it's 35 minutes from the house, right off the interstate. And shoot, since they moved, I've been to probably 15 games, probably 4 or 5 a year. So, I mean, it's killing me because it's a lot of what I do in the summer for entertainment, going to the ballpark and not getting to do that. I'm really going to miss out on that this year.
Well,
sure.
Let me ask you this. Well, obviously I'm always ready to change the subject off baseball, unlike you.
I know. It's killing me.
But the NBA was ready to go back to their practice facilities. And apparently the Atlanta Hawks were the one team that's kind of held up the whole deal. Do you know anything about that down there?
I don't. I haven't read anything about that.
So they pushed it back to like May the 8th. They were supposedly
to open
the
training
practice
camp
facility. Yeah. Well, just
sort of.
get back to practicing and stuff like that.
Right. Huh.
And so the scuttle was that everybody was a go, and then the Hawks came in and said, "Wait a minute, we're not sure." And so obviously, if one team can't do it or does not do it, then you're going to wait.
Then nobody, yeah.
Right. So
and that's unfortunate because they're not that good. And then they're holding up the works for everybody. Like I've not been to a single Hawks game, like ever. Like I've no,
really?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I would much rather go see a college game there. And I think Kentucky plays Georgia Tech down here over Thanksgiving break. So hopefully if that happens, I'll try to get tickets to go down there and watch them play. But yeah.
So now Trae Young, isn't he kind of the face of the franchise?
He's the face of the franchise, and he's the real deal. I mean,
Well, here's the deal. I mean, he just lost to a 43-year-old Chauncey Billups to a game of horse. So
wow.
I mean, I understand why you're not going to the Hawks games. You don't have anybody like this guy.
No, we don't, and nobody will, and that's kind of the whole point, and that's why The Last Dance has taken over the sports lexicon the last 2 weeks, and it will until it's over, and it will as long as it runs. I mean, people are desperate for anything sports, and it's perfect timing. I'm glad they released it 2 months early because I don't know if I could have waited till June to see this stuff. And I'm excited to see what episodes 5 and 6.
Just keeps building. Let me tell you this little piece of information. Rotten Tomatoes is on 100%.
It doesn't.
It's just like Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Perfect score.
Perfect score. We're a 5 out of 5. Every review we've ever gotten, 5 out of 5. So which begs to the question. We got to get some more subscribers out there. Got to get some more people following us, hopefully. And if you guys are listening, you can always catch us on Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts, and also on our YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. All of our meetings you can check out all of our episodes. You can check the video if you want to get a shot of whatever Paul's newest background is, or whichever Belmont shirt he's going to wear, or whichever hat I'm going to wear. You never know. And you never know when I'm going to pull out a T-shirt from the archives here, Bo Mitchell State Representative T-shirt, which was a special request. Paul, you got anything for us?
You know what? You talk about shirts out of your drawer. I mean, we can't obviously wear these shirts to work, so we may as well show them off to the people, right?
That's right.
Hey, tomorrow I'm going to give you a Jameis Winston to the Saints. Mark it.
Oh, mark it down. That's going to be our topic for tomorrow. Till then, everybody, we're going to take a 23.5-hour break, and we'll see you tomorrow night. You've listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.